Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Today we're going to be looking at Exodus chapter 1.
Okay.
It's really the start of the story of the Israelites in Egypt
Right.
and uh, and kind of their journey to freedom.
Yeah, it sets the stage for everything that's going to happen later on.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So Exodus 1 starts with Jacob's descendants settling in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
They're welcomed and they prosper.
Well, at first, yeah.
Yeah, like at first it's a real success story.
It's important to remember that they were actually invited by Pharaoh
Oh, that's right.
because of Joseph,
Yeah,
who saved Egypt from that terrible famine.
yeah.
So they had a pretty good start.
Yeah, they did.
Hmm.
But then things start to change.
Right.
A new Pharaoh comes along.
And this Pharaoh doesn't really know Joseph
Okay.
or
Yeah.
care about what he did for Egypt.
Right.
And he sees this growing Israelite population as a threat.
I see.
Yeah.
He starts to worry.
Yeah, basically, he's afraid they might turn against Egypt or side with their enemies.
Ah, I see. So what does he do?
Well, he decides to oppress them,
Okay.
uses forced labor to try and control them.
Wow. So it's kind of like a power move.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's using his power to exploit them.
Exactly. It's a classic example of how fear can lead to oppression.
Yeah, that's scary.
It is. It shows you how easily things can shift
Right.
and how quickly those in power can abuse it.
Okay, so Pharaoh's using forced labor. What exactly are they doing?
Well, he forces them to build these treasure cities.
Treasure cities.
Yeah, Pithom and Ramses.
Oh, wow.
These massive construction projects.
Wow. I mean, that just shows how much control he had over them.
Right. He's basically using them as slave labor
Right.
to build up his own kingdom.
Yeah. And what's crazy is that despite all of this, the Israelites they keep growing.
Yeah, they do. It's actually remarkable.
It is. Like, how do you thrive under those conditions?
It really speaks to their resilience,
Yeah.
their ability to maintain their hope and their identity,
Right.
even in the face of such adversity.
Yeah, it's like their strength is coming from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's almost a spiritual thing.
Definitely. Their faith plays a huge role in their story.
Yeah. But this growth, it just makes Pharaoh even more paranoid.
Yeah, it backfires on them in a way.
Right.
I mean, think about it from his perspective.
Okay.
He's trying to control them,
Mm-hmm.
and they just keep growing stronger.
Right. So he gets desperate,
Exactly.
and that's when things get really dark.
Yeah, he comes up with a truly horrific plan.
What does he do?
He decides to target the most vulnerable among them,
Okay.
the newborn baby boys.
Oh, no.
He orders that all baby boys be killed at birth.
That's just evil.
It is. It's a truly horrific act.
It shows how far his fear has taken him.
Right. He's completely lost his humanity.
Yeah. And that's where we meet these two incredible women,
Right.
Shifra and Puah.
The Hebrew midwives.
Yeah. And can you imagine being in their position?
It's hard to even fathom.
Right. They're ordered to carry out this horrible plan.
And they have to choose? Obey Pharaoh or follow their conscience.
Right. And they choose to defy Pharaoh.
They do. It's an amazing act of courage.
It really is. They risk their own lives to save these babies.
And they're clever about it, too.
Oh, how so?
They come up with this excuse.
Okay.
They tell Pharaoh that the Hebrew women give birth so quickly that they can't get there in time.
Wow. So they outsmarted him.
They did. It's a brilliant act of defiance.
It really shows their strength in their faith.
Right. They knew what was right,
Hmm.
and they were willing to stand up for it.
Yeah. I mean, their story is just so powerful.
It is. It raises so many questions about moral courage.
Yeah. And the responsibility we all have to stand against injustice.
Exactly. It's a theme that's still so relevant today.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, where do you think they found that strength
I know. It's incredible.
to defy Pharaoh like that?
I think it speaks to the power of conscience.
Right.
Like when you know something is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
you have to do something about it.
Yeah. Even when it's dangerous.
Exactly. Even when it puts you at risk.
Right.
Shifra and Puah show us that it's possible.
It's like they were willing to sacrifice everything
Yeah.
for what they believed in.
And their actions really highlight that theme of resilience
Oh, yeah.
that we see throughout Exodus.
Right. The Israelites just keep growing stronger.
Despite everything Pharaoh throws at them.
Yeah. It's almost like their suffering is fueling their strength.
That's a powerful paradox, isn't it?
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you think about all the people throughout history who've overcome incredible challenges.
Right. People who have fought for their rights.
Yeah. Their freedom.
Their very existence.
Exactly. And they didn't give up.
No, they persevered.
And it's inspiring, right?
Absolutely. It reminds us that we all have that capacity for resilience inside of us.
And is that just about enduring hardship?
No, it's about finding a way to thrive,
Yeah, even in the midst of suffering.
to find meaning and purpose.
To never lose hope.
Exactly. But let's go back to Pharaoh for a minute. His actions get more and more desperate as he realizes he can't control the Israelites.
It's like he's losing his grip on power.
And it's consuming him.
Yeah.
His fear and prejudice are just blinding him.
And leading him down a dark path.
Yeah. It's a classic example of how power can corrupt.
It's scary how quickly it can happen.
It is.
Yeah.
It shows the importance of checks and balances.
Right.
Holding those in power accountable.
Yeah. We have to speak out against injustice.
Wherever we see it.
And work towards a more just and equitable world.
Exactly. Because silence in the face of injustice is basically complicity.
So it's not enough to just be a bystander.
Right. We all have a role to play.
In challenging systems of oppression.
Whether they're big or small.
Yeah. Like, it's about recognizing those everyday moments where we can make a difference.
Exactly.
Like choosing to speak up against a microaggression.
Or challenging a stereotype.
Yeah, or just offering support to someone who's marginalized.
Right. Those little acts of courage.
They can add up.
And they can inspire others.
Yeah. Like Shifra and Pua.
Exactly.
They were just ordinary women.
But they chose to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Even though it was dangerous.
And their story shows us that moral courage,
right,
it's not just for heroes.
Yeah, it's something we all have inside of us.
Yeah, and it's a powerful legacy.
That we can all draw inspiration from.
It's about those small things, right?
Absolutely.
Things that we can do every day.
Like making a choice.
To stand up for what's right.
Yeah. To speak out against injustice.
Even when it's hard.
Even when it feels like you're the only one.
Right, because those little things, they can make a big difference.
They can inspire others to do the same.
Right. It's like a ripple effect.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Exodus chapter 1,
okay,
I want to leave you with a thought.
Okay.
Remember those midwives? Shifra and Pua.
Yeah.
Put yourself in their shoes.
Okay.
Pharaoh, the most powerful man in Egypt,
right,
is ordering you to kill innocent babies.
Wow.
What would you do?
It's a tough question.
It is. Would you obey out of fear?
Right.
Or would you risk your life?
To save those babies.
To follow your conscience.
It really makes you think.
It does. It forces us to confront our own values.
What
are we willing to stand up for?
What do we believe in?
And what are we willing to risk?
To protect those beliefs.
Right, and I think that's the beauty of these ancient stories. They're not just history.
Right, they're full of these timeless lessons.
About human nature.
About good and evil.
About the choices we face every day.
And they challenge us.
Yeah.
To think about how we would act.
In those situations.
To examine our own hearts.
And to try to live lives that are aligned with our values.
Even when it's hard.
So remember Shifra and Pua. Remember their courage, their compassion.
Yeah.
And remember that you too have the power to make a difference.
To be a force for good in the world.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Exodus chapter 1.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
It's always great to explore these stories.
And until next time, keep questioning.
Keep learning.
And keep diving deep